Welcome. Howdy. Super excited that you're here. Happy June to everyone. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. This presentation is intended to be informational and educational and is not a recommendation to buy or sell any financial instrument. And if you desire personal financial advice, consult your financial advisor. It's June. I'm so excited. I put together some goals for June. Find and take 5 trades that make $1,000 per $2,000 invested. I want to get really a lot better at that. I want to find and take one big trade. We didn't get the really big one in May, so I'm looking for that one this month. Learn to trade companies with optimistic earnings transcripts and can't remember what PT stands for. The minute I wrote it, I never remembered what it was. Oh, perfect trade. That's right. Trade more bounty companies. We'll look at that spreadsheet this morning. Focus our learning on how to grow a small account, increase your self-reliance so that you can do this on your own. And the June slides, my friends, well, they're at robbybooker.com/jslides. Now you can find the slides and many more things at robbybooker.com/big links. That document contains links to indicators, links to the previous versions of the slides, and much more. And it's been updated. So all of the new stuff for the month of June has been updated inside the big doc of links. And I'm very excited to have that. Now, I also did something a little bit different. I also, we usually talk about what we want to accomplish as a month. And I thought, well, in order to get where we want to get by the end of the month, it's important to talk about what we wanted to accomplish during the week. So I want to find and take one big trade this week worth $57,000. I think the market is at sort of a really great apex situation where we may be able to find, identify, take, manage, start the process of being in a trade that makes $57,000 for every $5,000 invested. If you don't have $5,000 to invest in the trade, but you had $500, then it would be a $5,700 trade, which would still be absolutely amazing. This week, I want to get up at 5 a.m. I did not get up at 5 a.m. today. I actually woke up at 6 a.m., so it really wasn't that bad, but I went to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning for the second time, and so I am super exhausted today. But what I want to do this week, my friends, is I'm really getting into this transcript thing. Like it's really becoming something that I think shows great promise. It may be, after Trifecta and Profit Circles, after those things, it may be the most important additional discovery of or addition to my trading stuff in the last 20 years. There may be 3 things that have really made a significant difference: Knoxville Divergence or Trifecta, and then Profit Circles, and then combining that with earnings transcripts. So I'm very, very interested in getting up earlier. I would get up at 4 if I could get myself to do it. I think I can. I've done it before. But I want to read like 20 of them a day, at least. I want to read 10 that are reasonably new, and then I want to read like 10 from the last couple of weeks or from the last year even that led to significant moves. And I'm going to show you an example of what I mean by that today. So good morning. Hello. Happy to see you here. I'm just looking at all the names of the attendees. Alan's here. Hey, Amy, it's nice to see you. Arnie, it's nice to see you. Brian, Gary, Gustavo, Jack, Jason, Jeff, John, Juan, Kevin, so many familiar faces here that I love to see so much. I'm going to turn my video off. You don't need to see that. Okay, here's what we look for. We scan a number of lists. This month, we're going to get back into the Magic Formula Investing List, MFI, the Insider Money Signals list, but we're really going to concentrate a lot of our attention on the Bounty and Strike Zone watch lists. These are really good lists of stocks because the Bounty spreadsheet is created by you. That means that you are going to be learning a lot. And that's the goal of this group, is for you to learn how to do this. Even if something happened to me and I wasn't here anymore, that you would be able to pick this up and run with it and really not miss a beat. And so we need to talk about the Bounty spreadsheet today because there were some weird things that happened in the Bounty spreadsheet and we need to talk about them. Second, the Strike Zone list. These are low-priced stocks under $5 that have the potential to move 100, 200, or 300%. I really want to spend a lot of time on that because it helps you grow a small account. Now we look for a very particular type of counter trend trade on the 4-hour chart. We're going to kick things off this month. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at what those look like. I want to show you what it looks like for a financial instrument to create a perfect trade. Now I would call this is a really good example. This is a great example of what I would refer to as a perfect trade, even though it didn't work perfectly the first time it triggered. This is a perfect trade. It's a really good idea to take some notes here. It's a really good idea to concentrate on this because it's a good thing for us to do at the beginning of the month. And then we can, once again, center ourselves and make sure we're doing and concentrating on what works the best. This is a 4-hour chart showing bullish Knoxville divergence followed by 2 green bullish profit circles, even a third. This is bullish divergence plus multiple profit circles. We refer to that as MPC. So when you see the letters MPC, it refers to multiple profit circles. This is Uber. When Uber printed bullish divergence and multiple profit circles, it was an early warning sign that Uber wanted to go up significantly, and that's exactly what it did. In November of last year, it was trading at $25 a share, and then what it did was it went up to $40 a share. That's a pretty beautiful and spectacular and lovely and glorious and whatever else. It's really, really nice. I'm going to delete all of these things. That's a perfect trade. That's a bullish perfect trade. Some other elements that go into deciding that a perfect trade is worth taking include things like missed monthly pivots, missed weekly pivots. Those are targets. So we really like to have those targets. Other fundamental indications that a stock deserves to and probably will go up would include positive earnings or fundamentals that suggest the business is growing and has plenty of cash. Or alternatively, as a substitute for that, that insiders are buying up the stock in droves and adding to their positions. Now, in the case of the currency market, you can have these situations as well. You can have perfect trades in the currency market, but oftentimes a perfect trade in the currency market doesn't require multiple profit circles. You can just have bullish divergence and one bullish profit circle, and you can get a fairly significant and substantial move in the opposite direction. I call that the perfect trade because, well, it tends to work better than any other kind of counter trend trading that I do, and it's a really important element to our success. We also look for a very particular type of trend trade on the 4-hour and the 1-hour chart. So we look for something that is a trend to begin with. So we could look at, my favorite example of what this looks like is really GLD, the gold chart. This is just my favorite version of this trend trade. We look for a financial instrument that has been moving up. Let's just take moving up for an example. And then it retraces on the 4-hour chart, but it could also work on the 1-hour chart. It retraces and prints multiple, ideally anyway, single or multiple profit circles in the direction of the trend, and that's the entry. This is, if the trend is justifiable by the fundamentals, this is a very powerful way of trading with the dominant trend. And it works in both ways. You trade bullish trends or bearish trends. Either way, it doesn't really matter. So this is an example of a perfect trade on FXI, a perfect bearish trade. Now, back when FXI started to drop, it dropped significantly, made lower highs and lower lows, and then it rose upward. Let's ignore this counter trend trade here for a minute. Then it rose upward. We don't see a bearish profit circle on the 4-hour chart, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that we see on the 1-hour chart in June of last year. We do. We see multiple bearish profit circles. And every single one of these bearish profit circles represents a sell trade. Now, you can add things to it, like it has to have missed pivots below and other things like that. And you prefer to see it on the 4-hour chart, but that qualifies. That's a trend trade. The trend was down, and then it printed bearish profit circles, multiple bearish profit circles on the 1-hour, or just even one bearish profit circle on the 4-hour would have been enough. That's a trend trade that we look for. And there are slight variations on that. We look for small trades and big trades. I call them 1K trades or 57K trades. They may be $100 trades and $570 trades for you. But in any case, I refer to them as trades that make me $1,000 or trades that make me $57,000. The $57,000 trades are just the big trades. If you have a $1,000 account, we're talking about making $500, $600 on a big trade and $100 on a small trade, something along those lines. And if you have a $20,000 account, we're talking about making $1,000 on a small trade and something between $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a bigger trade. So although I refer to those as small trades and big trades, and I refer to those as $1,000 and $57,000 trades, it's just a way of saying sometimes we just think we're going to get a little bit of a move, and sometimes we think we're going to get possibly a really big move. We always know our maximum loss. So when we take a trade, this is really important for me in my own trading career. I have to get out when the loss exceeds a certain number that I determine ahead of time. I have to make a decision about what I'm going to do when things go wrong ahead of time. I can't make that decision in the emotional moment. For me, that means that I know I'm going to jump out of a trade if it loses $1,000. And that's that. That's the end of it. Now, I have not always kept to those rules. I have at times broken those rules and regretted it dearly. If there's one thing that we can do well and that will change your life forever, it is cutting off the garbage fast. It will turn you into an impatient individual that is not known by your friends to be capable of withstanding a lot of BS. If you're a no BS person, you're already pre-wired for this. But if you're like me and you're kind of a nice person that's always looking for things to do for people, even when they're not being really great to you, this is a tough lesson to learn. And it's been my lifelong trading lesson, is to cut my losses off at a certain dollar amount. And you have to predetermine that dollar amount from the very beginning. And when it reaches that dollar amount, we let it go for a maximum of 24 hours to come back. And if it doesn't, we've set a boundary, we cut it off, we can always get back in later. We also know our profit goal, but it's a little bit different. If we catch a trade that's really going well and it's doing nicely, we might stay in that trade longer. And we might manage that trade with missed pivot points and other types of indicators and whatnot to stay in our winning trades longer so that we're cutting off our losers and we're riding our winners. So in other words, we manage losses by the numbers. We try to manage our losses by the numbers, and we take our profits by the charts. We look for options that are 90 days from expiration or 120, and we look for near the money, at the money, or in the money options. Now, we've added something to all of this. And what we've added to it, and I'm just going to reduce the size of the font here so that we can add this. We've added earnings transcripts, fundamental research to back up our trades. We've added that. That's something new here. What we look for are earnings transcripts that show the company executives have shown a year-over-year growth and that are optimistic and literally saying how optimistic they are about the potential for the next few quarters to be strong. That's in addition to fundamental research that shows the company is not highly indebted and has a good business. A while back, I posted that video of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger at the annual meeting like 20 years ago. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to repost this. I'm going to put this in the big doc of links because I think this is so important. I'm just going to say, watch this video. And I would say watch that video as many times as you can possibly get yourself to watch that video. I mean, you can't possibly watch that video enough. That is a video about buying stuff that's valuable for a discount. It's June 1st, 2020. Okay, that's the really only time in June that we will extensively talk about the plan and the method. Okay, bounty spreadsheet. I want to move over to the bounty spreadsheet. What we're looking for are generally stocks under $11 with an RSI under 40, volume that's more than 300,000 shares. And then we're going to look for Knoxville divergence and profit circles on a 15-minute chart even. So even on a 15-minute chart is fine. And then we want to read the recent earnings transcripts. And we will continue to get in touch with you and send you $25 if you add something to that spreadsheet. Let's look at the bounty spreadsheet. So a few of you have been messing around with this spreadsheet and adding in extra levels and entries. One of you, for example, put an extra line in the spreadsheet here and wrote on 2 different lines. You can't do that, so don't do that anymore. And then one of you says that your name is not bountiful. So you got to put your name in there as well. And then Alan, you said had passed. I want to know the date on the earnings. So you can just type that in there. So, and then one of you unhid all of the previous rows. We're not interested in anything that came before. We're only interested in going forward. So do not unhide those rows. We can also just recreate a June bounty trades spreadsheet actually that contains the last week and a half or so of May. And then one other last thing, when you add something to the spreadsheet, you can see here you typed in these numbers. What you want to do is grab this corner of the cell and you want to drag it down. And you want to do the same right here. And that will pre-populate and automatically fill the volume and current price. And it's okay if the price changes. What we don't want to get into a problem where we anyway, that's it. That's all I want to do. Because I want to see the price when we pull it up in the morning, and I won't even ever care to look at it ever again. So we just want the current price that it shows right there. Okay, thank you so much for posting stuff in the bounty spreadsheet. Keep those coming. It's really important. I want to start things off today, not with a look at a new bounty trade. I want to use June 1st here as a lesson, as education. And we're going to look at a couple earnings transcripts as well. So we're going to do that also. But we're even going to find out how to scan for stocks that just had earnings. But I want to ask this question. Why did ADAP move so fast after earnings? Check this out. I know I'm just going like a mile a minute, everybody. So this is ADAP, Adaptimmune Therapeutics PLC. And you'll notice here that earnings came out in mid-May, the 13th, 14th of May, and nothing really important happened, okay? It wasn't as if this thing did anything special. It just had earnings. And then it was a full, 2 weeks later that it jumped up. So if we look at Adaptimmune Therapeutics, Yahoo says it's overvalued, and the statistics will probably show that it doesn't make money. I'm just guessing. A negative return on assets. They have $1 million in revenue. They have a negative gross profit. They have giant amounts of losses. They're not making money, but they have a really, really, really strong balance sheet, a lot of cash on hand to pay current debts. Okay, that's interesting. But what I really want to do is I want to read the earnings call transcript. So May 14th, 2020, the Motley Fool published this earnings call transcript for the period ending March 31st, 2020. Now, I will usually speed read these to the point where you probably can't even follow along because I'm moving through so quickly. I am going to go slowly today and just take a look at it a little bit more slowly. So we've got thank you, blah, blah, blah. Julie Miller will be on the call. Our first quarter results, we issued a press release. And I'd please review the full text of our forward-looking statements. We anticipate making projections during this call. Okay. Chief Executive Officer, Adrian Rawcliffe. Thank you, Julie, and everyone for joining us. Gavin Wood, he's the new Chief Financial Officer. Okay. Looking back, in January, we announced responses for new tumor indicators. Okay, this is really good. They're announcing cool stuff. Clinical data announcement was followed by increases in screening during our blah, 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 blah. The impact of COVID-19 is still evolving. We want to ensure the safety of our colleagues. Great. Manufacturing has continued with facilities operating at close to full capacity. That's really good. Still manufacturing for patients in April and May at a reduced level, but we're optimistic. They're optimistic about being able to be on track. There's some stuff has been delayed. We'll continue to communicate our data at these meetings. Presented data on the blah. We made great progress. Give an oral presentation of the blah, blah, blah. We'll be in a booth. Nobody cares about your stupid booth. Trial will be all clinical sites activated as soon as possible. One trial was recently acknowledged. FDA had granted orphan drug designation and blah, blah, blah to this. Potential improvements. Finally, we're progressing our program in liver cancer. These are people fighting cancer. These are fighting the good fight. Started strong. Okay, opening up to questions. To start off, you mentioned the kind of counterbalancing, and then we get the update will be Okay, so I'll take the blah, blah, blah. Just worth putting the whole thing in context, have recruit patients, they're recruiting patients, full update, second generation. We've previously said that the program, blah, blah, blah. I would just say there were very palpable increase in interest in our studies from investigators and conversations. An increase in interest, that this is what you want to see. You want to see companies that say, hey, guess what? We're growing. There's an increased interest in our product. What we are seeing continues to give us confidence that we'll be in a position to meet our objective of launching for patients in 2022. But it's encouraging that we continue to screen for patients and give an update. This is good. Adrian, we saw robust interest in enrollment across programs. This is good. National Liver Conference, blah, blah, blah. We're going to give more details, blah, blah, blah. They're going to do something on the 29th, blah, blah, blah. It looks very positive. It looks optimistic. It looks like very helpful. And then they go on and everything they talk about is optimistic. So the earnings come out, it's optimistic, and that's the kind of earnings report. It's a similar, that would inspire confidence. That would make me feel interested in this company. That's why this eventually went up. And then on May 29th, they made an announcement that is not that surprising, that things were really going well for them and they had an increased number of people in trials and whatnot. Pretty cool. That's the kind of, that would explain it. And someone like us, we could read that transcript after earnings, determine that that company was worth buying, and then look for an entry using a trend trade, a counter trend trade if it's bullish. We could look for ways to get into that trade. But that's what an earning, that would explain, that shows you that it doesn't, like, earnings don't come out and then necessarily a giant move immediately. Sometimes it's a little bit delayed and you have time to get in. So here's what I did. Next thing is next. So everybody pay close attention here because I'm going to teach you how to screen for these. So I'm going to go to FinViz. You don't have to use Elite. I use Elite so that I don't have the stupid ads. And I click on Screener. And I click on Country, USA. I look at earnings date, previous week. And I get 94 stocks. And then I can sort this by price. And I just get a ton, look at, I get a ton of these stocks. And if I just mouse over these, I can see the chart. So I can see that GRIL, for example, reported earnings. And this stock looks really terrible. This looks like it doesn't have enough volume. So I'm like, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to change average volume to over 300K. maybe even over 500K. Now I got 55 stocks. Modine, Zag, Remark, Big Five, Outlook Therapeutics. So I pulled up a few of these. So we looked at ADAP already. Zag. What's Zag Incorporated? So that's on the list. So Zag reported earnings. Look at that. So it's got bullish divergence. It's got a bullish profit circle. It's got missed pivots. It just reported earnings. Zag Q1 2020 earnings call transcript. So could we potentially buy Zag? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 was issued today. Now we're going to search for the word guidance. Our performance was tracking to plan when we outlined our 2020 guidance. On the call, the concern around the impact of China virus was primarily supply chain. The situation, after the call that night, the National Basketball Association suspended, blah, 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 blah. We experienced a drop off in sales. What does Zag do? Says it's undervalued. Mobile tech accessories for smartphones, tablets, wireless chargers, wall chargers, power outlets, and more. Okay, great. I love that business. I think that business is super cool. Okay. For more, before we prepared remarks. Okay, guidance. We experienced a steep drop off in sales. Okay, that's not good. Wholesale partners required to close their doors, saw March demand slow. Board of directors reduce our go-forward operating costs, increase flexibilities. Despite a very difficult backdrop, fourth quarter sales increased 16%, even as we lost $10 million because of the China virus. Top line performance was solid. VisionGuard, our screen protection technology, antibacterial wipes for stuff, individual spike in products that support work from home. This is good. But as April progressed, we saw wholesale sell-through improve each week and the stores have remained open. Direct-to-consumer performance, our Q2 to date sales have outpaced by 50%, not providing guidance for 2020. So they say, we're not providing guidance. We're planning our business conservatively, especially as it relates to future expenses, to better position the company, a restructuring plan. That doesn't sound good. Battery cases, the category has declined, not good. Look forward to blah, 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 blah. In line with guidance range, blah, 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 blah. Do we have any more words, guidance? We withdrew our guidance. We may reinstate it. So it's not what we like to hear. So Zag said things started looking up, but we're withdrawing our guidance and some of our categories of our products are not doing well. And that makes me really, really, really sad. It makes me super sad and makes me want to cry a little bit because I really wanted Zag to be a good one. But Zag's not a good one, so Zag goes off of our list and doesn't make it. So Zag, you're out. You're out. I did look up Heat Biologics. So let's go HTBX. So HTBX reported earnings, and then things really steadily improved from there. Very trend trade-ish. It already had printed the bullish profit circle in the midst of a kind of a strike zone kind of pattern, up, back down, bullish profit circle. So it reported earnings. Now I couldn't find the actual transcript, but I did look up an article on Yahoo. This is what they said: provided financial, clinical, and operational updates. We continue to make progress, advancing our unique China virus vaccine using our robust blah, 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 blah. Earlier this year, we announced a collaboration, also continue to achieve key milestones. That's great. Ended quarter with $26 million of cash. Research and development expenses decreased. General administration, blah, blah. Company had approximately 26 million. Forward-looking statement. And it didn't really give me a lot of information here. It doesn't look like they said a lot about their business here. It didn't really give me a lot. The only thing I could read from this was we continue to make progress in our vaccine. And that might have been enough. I don't know if it would be enough specifics. That would be a borderline between a really great earning transcript and maybe a not so great one. That would be, where I drew the line. Okay. We didn't see this before. I'm trying to start June off with some examples of what good trades would look like. I'm trying to start things off with just kind of an example of, what we would look for. So good morning. You need some rugs or sound baffles to decrease the echo. Yeah, I'm working on it. I also, Sue, I brought a really, really great microphone in. So I'll hook that bad boy up. And then we'll get that going. So what's the best free site for looking up earnings transcripts? So I think we got that one. I think we got that done. Let's look up, one of you, I'll just actually give you the credit for telling us. Derek says that Zag shows some insider purchasing. Look at that. As recently as April. Wow, and he didn't go cheap either. 30,000 shares, 10,000 shares, 33,000 shares. That kind of gives me a little bit more confidence. You got these insiders buying a bunch of shares. In some cases, seeing that the insiders are buying a lot of shares can replace any other kind of fundamentals. ADVM. Was that also on this? Where did I find ADVM? Oh, probably on the, nope, I was going to say on the, okay, so here's an earnings one. Adverum Biotechnologies Incorporated. It looks like a trend trade, right? It's already up, it's already moving, dropped to the monthly pivot, and now it seems like it might be going up. So I pulled up the old transcript for the period ending March 31st. And I'm going to look for the word guidance. So not much there. Outlook, not much there. I'm just going to read this quietly. Okay. This is a lot of technical mumbo jumbo. So biotechnology company that's developing drugs is going to be an earnings transcript that shows trials going well is going to be a real centerpiece. Here we go. They've got reduction in vision. I'm talking about centers, so more than 30 million patients with diabetes. We're looking at 1.5, taking patients with any severity level, well controlled, so they feel optimistic about the size of the market. Yeah, they're just really okay. Saw those markets declined, expressions, treating them, I think they meant markers. Patients may need drugs for a longer period of time. Second question at the bottom of the hour, one time for more questions. Please check the mute button. That's hilarious. Okay. I didn't read much in there. I don't know. I didn't see much in there. I'm going to have to take a closer look. didn't look like I got any information out of that I would really want. So we'll follow up with that. So we talked about why ADAP moves so fast, and then we have AMRN. So AMRN, Juan put this on the spreadsheet. It's trading for $6.95. Earnings came out at the end of April, beginning of May, and it's Amarin Corp. So let's see if we can find. So let's see if we can find the word guidance. We're not at this time prepared to provide new revenue guidance. And through our patent litigation, yeah, that doesn't look like a really great, I don't like the word litigation. Yeah, they don't look like they're in good shape. So for now, no. So for now, that's a no. It already looks negative. They're already tempering all the expectations and sort of letting everyone down easily. Okay. Thank you for being here this morning. Today was meant to be more of a here's how we do things type of call. Tomorrow I should have a really nice microphone all plugged in, although I think the audio is not that bad. It's not really bad, right? I mean, it's not terrible bad. And there we go. Okie doke. Audio is fine. Okay, great. Thanks, Marshall. Yeah, let's just look at Nokia real quickly. Check that out. Nokia is just cranking. Yeah, they have a lot of patents on 5G stuff. So they have the potential to do really well. Okay, I'm going to get this recording processed and up on the website as soon as possible, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, everybody, we're going to get into the thick of it tomorrow when things really ramp up, and we're going to sort out some trades, remove some trades, close out some trades, add new ones on, and more.